Every time we go out, we pack differently for what we're going to be doing. If we're going to go to the desert, we'd pack a certain way. If we're going to go to the mountains for a snow camp, we'd pack different equipment. To make your pack outs and packing up for a trip a lot simpler and a lot faster, you need to get organized. Any overlander, camper, adventurer knows that you have to be well organized. I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks that I use to stay organized to make for a real simple pack out getting ready for a trip. So stick around. Okay, to get started, let's talk about the vehicle first. If you drive a new vehicle, an older vehicle, a truck, a Jeep, a passenger car, you need to consider what could go wrong and what could keep you stranded in the backcountry. So there's a few essentials that I carry, and I've got the other GoPro set up so you can get a view of what I'm looking at and get a better perspective of what we're doing. So one of the box has wheels on it, and in here I keep some basic equipment, a drawer with a few essentials, some air down. I've got an extra knife. I've got an extra knife here, and this is a multi-tool like a Leatherman. A couple of things for the tire, checking tire pressure. Inside here I always carry gloves, a safety blanket, an emergency blanket. I got a big bright red poncho in case I'm doing a spare tire or something and swapping a tire on the side of the road. More gloves, extra gloves. I've got my tire tool that is specific for my two different size of lug nuts, both for the Cricket and for the Jeep. This is all in one nice tool, and it fits together in such a way where I can get a lot of leverage on that. So I love this tool. I always carry a hydraulic jack with me. I don't like relying on just the jack that comes with the vehicle. I always like to have a backup jack. So I always carry a hydraulic. There's always going to be skin knuckles and different things, pinched fingers, so there's always a first aid kit in the toolbox. Here's another outlet, 12-volt outlet I can clip on the battery, and a couple of hose clamps and a filter, an extra filter in there. So this gives you a perspective of what you need to think about for support for the vehicle. So I just keep this in here. It fits well, and it'll carry a lot of gear. I need to enhance this just a little bit. It's a good start. Well, that didn't work out well. I'll put that here. Another thing that I carry is my tire kit. This is the ARB kit, obviously. A lot of people referred me to this kit because a lot of professional overlanders have said this is by far the best kit available. And I took their advice. I'm not sorry that I did. This has been fantastic. It's good to have this type of security. It's got instructions with it. This is all heavy duty tools. People who go on global safaris and global treks take this kit because everything is steel handled. There's nothing to break. So you've got to have a tire repair kit with you at all times. So that's a set I recommend. Another thing I recommend is this. You can find these at the truck stops. This is a triangle kit for putting out alongside the road. Fits in a nice case. There's 3 of them in here. They come out and fold up and make the triangle. So you need, instead of carrying a flammable flare or something that will deteriorate over time, these have no expiration date. I can pop these out a year from now and they're ready to go. And they come in a nice case. It's been beat around, top split open a little bit. Another thing, speaking of tires, is this right here. This is the ARB compressor. It's got my hoses, it's got an onboard compressor, got my tire gauge for both airing up and airing down. These are well worth, and nobody should skimp on this when it comes to a compressor. If you get a nail or some foreign object in your tire and you have to do the repair on the kit, this right here is going to get you out of the country, because you can air the tire back up, and you want to rely on a reliable compressor. So don't skimp on this. Buy quality. I recommend the ARB. It comes in its own toolbox, and this has been fantastic. Now, when it comes to the vehicle itself, these are canvas tool rolls. I'll show you this. And they just roll up. They have little zipper pockets, and you can put your wrenches and that type of thing in here. These are great because you can just roll them up and clip them and carry them with you, put them up on the ground next to where you're working, and they're really valuable. Now, a viewer of ours in Utah, Aaron, sent us this tool roll, and we are so impressed with this. I recommend this. This is by Welkinland, I believe it is, Welkinland. This is phenomenal. The quality and the capabilities of this is remarkable. But you need a tool roll, even the basics, even if you're not mechanically inclined. And to give you an example, I've got tons of Allen wrenches. I've got all kinds of fuses. There's another knife. I use those there. Here, I've got all of my screwdrivers. I got a big assortment of screwdrivers here. Here, I've got a bunch of wrenches. These are all metric. A big assortment of wrenches. And this is not expensive. You can go to Harbor Freight, get a cheap set. It'll give you all the different sizes. There's the SAE, or American Standard, 11/16 half inch. Depends on what type of vehicle that you drive. And here is a good assortment of sockets, a couple of ratchets, some extensions. Now, don't think of this as just for your vehicle. What if you need to fix a fitting or something on your camp stove, or you need to repair a leg on one of your camp chairs or something? You've got the toolkit here to do it. And there's more room up here for putting more gear up here. You can pick this up, set it on the ground next to where you're working at, or set it on a table while you work on your camp stove. You've got everything here. You have to have a tool roll. I highly recommend it. And don't think of this as just for tools. I can take this other one that I used. I could convert this into a galley bag. Put my utensils, my silverware in here, my cooking utensils, maybe some spices on the bottom, and some wet wipes up in this area here. These have a lot of different applications. So, be creative, but get it all organized. If you were cooking out, you would just grab this. This is my galley bag, and I know I've got all my essentials here. So that's a good way of getting organized. So this is just for the vehicle. Now I'm going to move on now to the gear itself and show you how I get the Maximize. But before I forget, always carry a fire extinguisher with you, whether it's for the vehicle, or if a campfire gets out of control or your camp stove malfunctions and goes crazy. It does happen. Or there's a grease fire that you need to deal with. Always carry a fire extinguisher. And always have extra gloves laying around. Here's another pair of extra gloves that I keep loose. So you've seen, I've got like 3 or 4 different pairs of gloves, a fire extinguisher, I'm prepared for anything on the road. Now let's talk about our gear. Okay, now let's talk about your gear. It's inevitable that whenever you're packing up, you always seem to run out of room before you run out of gear. I have the luxury of a pickup truck, and I have a lot of room, but I still run out of, things get a little tight sometimes because I carry a lot of gear with me. If you're operating out of the trunk of a car, you can plan accordingly. And the reason I mention that is some things like this right here, my little red campfire. It's a propane campfire. It's an odd shape. It's I don't know of a trunk or anything in this shape. But try, and stuff like your Coleman lanterns in these cases, they have to be in a case to protect the glass globes. Try to keep that down to a minimum. And you don't really have to take your propane campfire with you every time. It's only for those cases where there's a wood burning ban, or say you're in a winter camp up in the mountains and you know there's not going to be any dry firewood. I can throw this in the truck and I know I've got a really nice cozy campfire every night. So try to keep that stuff to a minimum. I'm going to set this down, get this out of the way. Now I use duffel bags, different sizes, different colors. That way I can look at a bag and I know exactly what that bag is. It's not identical to 5 other bags. I don't have to dig through each one. This bag is my electronics bag. I'm going to show you how I do this to be organized. I've got my cord bag. We'll get into this in a second. But in my electronics, I carry my table lantern. I've got my GMRS radios. I'll show you what we do here. I've got my flashlight. I've got some headlights, a couple of headlights. I've got another little portable light that I use. I've got my Garmin InReach Mini 2. I've got another cord here that I use for charging up my Bluetti on the road, and it's marked Bluetti. Got another cable here for the Bluetti where I can plug it in and give myself another 12-volt outlet. So I keep all of this in this one electronics bag, or you could be calling it your flashlight bag or whatever. I take all of my cords and I get these little cheap zipper bags. They're heavy duty vinyl, and I mark it cords. And here I keep all of my different cords and chargers. I'll pull this out. And different manuals. And I've got all these different cords marked for radios, headlamp, miscellaneous, Davos charger. That's for the Light Rangers. Here's one for my fan. And people say, why do you carry so many cords? Because there's a lot of duplication. Well, if I wanted to charge, say, my 2 GMRS radios and both headlamps, I don't have to wait till one get charged and then plug in the other one and waste a lot of time. I can plug everything in at one time, plug them into the Bluetti, my portable power station, everything gets charged up. And if something happens and say I forgot my cell phone cable, or I forgot a camera cable, I've got a big variety of cables here I can pick from, and there's usually something that'll match up. So instead of having these all loose in the bag, I keep them all in this nice little zipper bag, and I just stuff them in there. There's no, because I can pull them out, sort through, get what I need, and keep all my cords in one bag. Put that back and just, so that's a good way of keeping all your cords together. And usually I'll put this on the bottom and then pack everything around it. And I'll put this together here in a minute. Let's get this out of my way. Okay. Another thing I do is I have another bag. Now this bag is very distinct. It's black with yellow stitching. This is what I call my tool bag for the campsite. You're going to love this. This bag here has all of my, what I would call, campsite tools. I've got some extra paracord. I've got these little vinyl big giant twist tie things. Got a bunch of those. I've got a bunch of pre-made guy lines, and I use this bright lime paracord so I can see them in the dark, and if I drop one on the ground or something, I can spot it, I can find it. So I have a bunch of this stuff already made up. I carry a bunch of that stuff, and then I've got a specific cord I use for tying out the dog. A little leash there. I keep extra straps. Like I said, this is my tool bag, what I call the tool bag. More straps for putting down the awning or whatever you need. Then I carry my stake hammer for my tent stakes, for the awning or my screen room. Carry that in here. And then extra links for the paracords. Tons of tent stakes. Got a massive selection of different types based upon different soil conditions. You're going to need a different type. Like I use these on the beach. I use these up in the forest, these big giant nails. Also in here, I've got a roll of, this is like Velcro strap in case there's something I need to strap or bundle down or something. I've got that. Also in my tool bag, I've got my Silky Saw. Big boy. There it is. And if I need to go get firewood, I've got my Silky Saw. It's ready to go. It stays folded up in my tool bag. And just keep that right here. It has a nice case to keep it protected. And I also carry my axe with the scabbard in my toolbox, in my tool bag. And this is for, harvesting, splitting firewood, making kindling. To enhance that, I get these fire starters, the Strike-A-Fire, Diamond Strike-A-Fire. I get these in the off season where they're real cheap. And then I vacuum seal them with my vacuum sealer to protect them, and they'll be good for years. And I keep 2 of those in here at all times. So if I need one, I can just cut it open. They're going to be fresh, and I'm not opening up the other one until I need it. But carry these in your tool bag or tool duffel or whatever you want to call it. So that's how I keep a lot of this organized for the campsite. I know I just need this one bag. I can set this on the picnic table, and I can do the tent stakes. I can put up the screen room. I've got my guy lines. I've got everything I need. You can put rubber bands around some of these guy lines and kind of keep them better organized, or tie them up like that. I just like to throw them in there. It's fun. Extra paracord for you never know. And then if you needed to, you could requisition one of those pre-made guy lines for something else. Just cut the clip off of it and you can use that much paracord. So try to get all of that organized in one bag. I just need this one bag, and I can put up my entire camp and go get firewood. So that's one way of being organized. Here's another nice way. I like this. This is a tub that I use, and when I pack the truck, I put this on the very back so I can drop down the tailgate, slide this one tub out, and inside this tub I keep my Jetboil. I keep canisters of fuel. I keep other fuel for my portable stove, my big stove. I've got some cord, a utility rope here. I've got my little Primus portable lantern that also runs off the same fuel tanks. And I usually carry 3 or 4 of these with me at all times. Here I've got a carabiner with the, everybody knows what these are. These are the Fireball fire starters. I've got a bunch of these. This is jute rope, And the premise of how these work, I've used them, they're fantastic, is you take one of these and you take your knife, pull this off, you take your knife and you cut here, you unravel all this soft jute, and then this is tar pitch. This is pine pitch with charcoal blended into it. It's not sticky because of the charcoal, and you can light this jute. It will catch this on fire, and this will burn for about 15 minutes if you're trying to build a fire. You know, with challenging wood. Sometimes wood has a little bit higher moisture content and it's very hard to get started. So I carry these in here. I've got a bunch of these. I've got a bunch more. I replenish this inventory whenever I need to, but I carry these in here. Put that back on there. So that way, if I'm going down the trail and I want to stop for a nice lunch, I can drop the tailgate. I have a food grade cutting board that covers the entire bed of the tailgate. I slide this one box out, and in here, what I'll do is I'll put some freeze-dried meals in here, some ramen noodles, a couple of big bottles of water for the Jetboil. I can set up, I've got my burner and everything inside the Jetboil. I can set up and do a lunch and everything right here on the tailgate with never having to go into the way I've got everything else packed and unload half the truck to get to lunch. That's not fun. So I set this up for that, specifically for lunch on the trail or lunch on the road. You can easily pop into, you know, if you're on your route, you can pop alongside the road, little roadside picnic table, slide this one box, and you can convert this to a duffel. Grab the one duffel, you got everything you need. I got my water, got my freeze-dried meals, my ramen noodles, my Jetboil, everything in one duffel. So that's how you can make life a lot enjoyable. I'll get this out of the way. Okay. I like things in duffel bags, like these light systems, the Devos light system. This is a Light Ranger 1200 with the filter kit. Now, if I'm going by myself, I'll just grab one of these. If I'm going out with a big group, I'll grab two of these and take them with me to light up a bigger area. But if it's just a solo camp, I'll just take one. But the nice thing is the way this is shaped, I can shove this into different places and pack it around stuff. It's not a hard shell case. So that's why I like soft duffels. The same thing with my camp tables. This is the Camp Chef Mesa table. Comes in a big duffel, everything is in here. I have two of these. So if I'm going on a solo camp, I'll just grab one of these, one Devos Light Ranger, grab my tool bag, my electronics, and a camp chair. Here's my camp chair. Again, this is very distinct. It has green tabs. You know, I know what to grab. Makes it very easy. I can drop the tailgate and roll the tonneau cover back, look at the bags, and I know what every single bag is because each bag is different. It's distinct. So consider these things, and think of small. A lot of car camping, you need to look at the backpacking. Like this is a camp chair, a really nice camp chair, fits in a nice little duffel. This is also a camp chair, not so compact, but I have the pickup truck, so I have room for this. This is not cumbersome. So if you're working out of a car, you need to be looking at the camping equipment in canvas, because you can pack it and kind of stuff it in around each other, and have a system, of the way that you pack. And even if you put in one layer in your trunk, take a picture of that layer, then put another layer in, take a picture of that, just save it on your cell phone until you find a really nice system where everything is at. It'll kind of help you develop your own little system. This works for me. It may not work for you, but at least think about these things. This is a different way of thinking. So I hope I've tried to give you some thought on this. Being organized is critical. I can do a pack out because I keep all my equipment in one rack in my garage. I can do a pack out. I can pack up for a trip in 5 minutes or less. I know what I want to take. I know where it's at in my rack. I can look at the truck. I know where everything goes, and I know what's in every bag. So that's some of the ways I use to get organized. I'll do a separate video on the Jeep itself to show you how I've equipped that. That is a work in progress, and how I keep it organized, because Jeeps are not known for a lot of cabin space, let's say, and nooks and crannies to put stuff. So there's some really innovative solutions for that, but that'll be another video coming up. So if you like our content, if you like what we're trying to do, you know, get that subscribe button. Send us an email. I'll put my email up there. And, contact us, ask us questions. I answer every single email. So, and until the next episode, thanks for watching. And I got to put all this stuff away now. Anybody want to come and help?